Hello, beautiful one. Welcome back. Glad that you're here. If you've watched some of my previous videos, you are well aware that I had a pretty horrific childhood. I was an extremely unusual child growing up in a really small, very backward town in Texas, and received a lot of abuse as a result. But today we're going to talk about some of the cool parts of my childhood, some of the spiritual, magical, very interesting and trippy parts of my childhood. Awesome. I'm glad that you're here. Let's get started. Intro. So as I've mentioned, I was born and raised in Texas. I grew up in a tiny little town with less than 1,000 people in it. My birth name was John Michael, and I remember from a very early age having very strong memories of being the disciple John and being in a deep, loving relationship with Jesus and Mary Magdalene. I had a strong connection with the Archangel Michael, and people who slept near me would often tell me that the Archangel Michael came to them in their dreams. I was an extremely psychic little being with a very strong connection to the other realms. My mother was as well, and her mother was too. My mom and I would see and hear ghosts and spirits and other non-physical beings on a regular basis, to the point that it was just kind of a matter-of-fact experience for us. It was nice being able to talk to my mom about some of the experiences I had. We had a ghost or spirit that followed us around for a while when we moved to different houses, and my mom and I would both hear it on a regular basis. One day I was home alone by myself, and we lived in an old wooden house that was built in the 1930s or 40s. It had a long hallway from the front to the back of the house, and there was an attic, and there was a board that you could raise in the attic that would let air circulate up out of the house through this screen mesh into the attic and out of the house, so air would be naturally circulating. I was walking down the hallway when I felt someone in the attic staring at me, and I turned and looked up, and there was a man in the attic dressed in a suit from the 1800s with a little tie and a bowler hat, just staring at me. I knew it was a ghost or spirit, but my experience was there was an actual man in the attic staring at me. And another time when I was home alone, I was in the living room in the front of the house watching TV when I heard what sounded like someone hitting their fist on the hallway wall, and I knew that there was no one else there. Our little dog ran into the hallway and started barking, and I got up and went to the hallway. The sound started on the far end of the hallway away from me then, and it sounded like someone standing in the hallway hitting the walls on both sides of the hallway with both their fists. Bam, 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 and it came up the hallway toward me, and then back down the hallway, and up the hallway, and down the hallway. And our little dog was just spinning in circles on her hind legs, barking, and it was pretty terrifying, to say the least. I was probably, like 11 years old at the time. It started out really slowly moving up and down the hallway, and then it started speeding up. And then the last time it came toward me, it came really fast and really loud, and I felt like a force, and it scared the crap out of me. I grabbed our little puppy and took her outside and sat in the front yard until my family came home. My mother thought it was a particular ancestor of ours that was trying to make connection for some reason. I was constantly communicating with beings in other realms. It was just a very natural experience for me. When I was about 8 years old, I held a seance for some of the kids that lived near me, and apparently I went into a trance and said some shit and scared the crap out of them, but I thought it was cool. I also found an old slave graveyard out in the woods. I could hear their voices calling me through the woods, and I had no idea what I was going toward, and then I found this old graveyard out in the middle of nowhere. And they told me that they were slaves, and they showed me images in my mind of what they looked like, and I would often go and sit in the graveyard and talk to them. There was one woman and one man in particular that I remember very fondly. They were very kind and open-hearted and loving, and I used to love going and visiting with them. As I've mentioned before, I remembered from an extremely early age that I had come from another star system where everything is blue, on a blue planet with a blue star, where everyone experienced unconditional love, and that some of us had agreed to come to the Earth to help humanity learn to experience unconditional love and awaken and evolve. I knew that I had come to help save the planet. I know now that that star system is the Pleiades, but we'll go into that in another video in greater detail. I also remembered from an early age that I was Houdini in another lifetime. I had very strong memories of that lifetime, those experiences, and still to this day will draw on the energy in that lifetime to help me in this one. And as I mentioned before, I remembered being the disciple John and living a lifetime with Jesus. I remember him telling me in that lifetime that I was going to awaken just like he did, but it was going to be in a later lifetime, but he would always be there to help me. In this lifetime as a child, I would talk to Christ all the time, and he would teach me and guide me and help me to remain true to myself. To this day, he is one of my greatest teachers and inspirations. I also talked to God a lot when I was a kid. I don't remember when that started. It was just a very natural thing for me. And while I knew it was the same God that they were preaching about in church, and so I knew him as God the Father, more than anything, it was a golden light that was neither father or mother, just golden light that would teach me things. It was this golden light that showed me when I was around 8 or 9 years old that all there is God, that everything is made out of God, that everything arose out of God, so everything is God. I remember going to church as a small child and hearing the preacher say things from the pulpit and thinking, that's not what God taught me, or Jesus did not say that. I was known as a questioner and a bit of a troublemaker. When I was 11, I realized that I'd been relying on this preacher to teach me what was supposedly in the Bible, and I felt that he was saying things that weren't true. So I read the Bible all the way through 3 times, and then went to the minister with a list of questions, asking him why he taught us certain things and said that they were in the Bible when they actually weren't. He wasn't very thrilled with me, and I ended up getting prayed for. I think that's where we're going to wrap it up today. There's so many other things that I want to share with you, but we'll have to leave it for another day. Thank you so much for watching. I'm super grateful that you're here. I love you very much, and I hope that you are having the most beautiful, beautiful day. Peace.